Picture this. It's 2 a.m. The world is silent, but your mind is a war zone. You're staring at your ceiling, and that one toxic phrase is looping in your head like a broken record. I'm on the wrong path. Maybe you're looking at a LinkedIn update of a former classmate who just hit director status. Maybe you're looking at your bank account, wondering where it all went wrong. You feel like you've wasted years in the wrong career, the wrong relationship, or the wrong city. But here's the cold, hard truth that might hurt. That conclusion isn't dangerous because it's wrong. It's dangerous because it's an excuse. It's a psychological trap that allows you to turn your past into a graveyard and your future into a ghost story. In today's deep dive, we're not doing motivational fluff. Life isn't a Disney movie. We're going to deconstruct the wrong path trap using 2 brutal, life-altering questions and a 4-step self-audit framework that they don't teach at Harvard. By the end of this video, you'll know if you're actually on the wrong path or if you're just a glitchy version of yourself running on the right one. Stay with me, because the secret to why people like Steve Jobs succeeded isn't that they found the right path, it's that they became the right version. Why does your brain crave the idea that the other path was the right one? In behavioral psychology, when we hit a wall, our brain activates a defense mechanism called the rosy retrospection of the untaken path. You start building a digital paradise in your mind. If I had gone into tech instead of liberal arts, I'd be making $200K at Google right now. If I had stayed with my ex, I'd be married in a house with a white picket fence instead of paying $3,000 for this studio apartment. But let's get real. You haven't lived a single second on that path. You're looking at the highlight reel, not the raw footage. You see the developer's salary, but you don't see the 80-hour work weeks, the chronic burnout, or the soul-crushing isolation of staring at code for a decade. Simultaneously, you start blackwashing your reality. You invalidate every ounce of effort you've put in. You call your degree trash and your last 3 years wasted. But wait, if everything was black, how are you still standing? How did you gain the wisdom to even ask these questions? The trap is simple. We compare our internal mess to everyone else's external polish. It's a game you're guaranteed to lose. But what if your current path is actually toxic? How do you distinguish between a temporary struggle and a permanent mistake? The answer lies in the first destiny question. Take a deep breath and ask yourself this. If the current path is wrong, is the other path guaranteed to be right? Give me a brutally honest answer. If you quit your job tomorrow, if you walk out on your partner, if you move to Austin or Lisbon, can you swear to yourself in the mirror that your life will suddenly become a masterpiece? Most people answer, I don't know, but it has to be better than this. That phrase, it has to be, is where tragedies begin. You look at someone else's life and think it's perfect because you're only seeing the surface. It's like looking at a travel blogger's Instagram. You see the sunset in Santorini. You don't see the food poisoning, the missed flights, or the crushing credit card debt behind the camera. Every path has a price tag. If you choose entrepreneurship, you pay with loneliness and the risk of going broke. If you choose a stable 9-to-5, you pay with your time and lack of autonomy. There is no right path. There is only the path whose price you are willing to pay. Internal monologue. So what? Am I supposed to just settle for a miserable life? No. What I want you to understand is a physical change, new job, new city, without a cognitive change is just a temporary escape with an expiration date. Let me tell you about Mark, a guy I know who is the king of restarting. At 25, Mark was an accountant. He told me, "My boss is a micromanager and the pay is a joke. Accounting is dead. I'm going into sales where the real money is." At 27, Mark was in real estate. 6 months in, he complained, "The market is cooling down, clients are flaky, and my coworkers are snakes. I'm not built for sales. I'm going to learn graphic design. That's where the creative freedom is." At 30, after spending $20K on boot camps, Mark was at an agency. The script repeated. "Clients have no taste. I'm overworked and underpaid. I chose the wrong industry from day one." By 35, Mark was an entry-level employee in a completely new field, while his old accounting friends were CFOs and his sales friends were VPs. I asked Mark, "You've changed 4 paths, 4 bosses, and 4 environments. Is there one single factor that hasn't changed in 10 years?" Mark went silent. That factor was Mark. He carried his fragile ego, his habit of doing the bare minimum, and his lack of grit from accounting to sales and from sales to design. He's like a driver who sees his engine smoking, but instead of fixing the engine, he keeps trading in the car and wondering why every new car breaks down after 10 miles. So, how do you know if you are Mark, the runner, or if you are truly in a dead-end situation? You need Destiny Question 2. This one hurts. It's a punch to your self-esteem. Is the path wrong, or am I not right enough to walk it? Stay calm. Don't turn off this video yet. That discomfort you're feeling, that's the sound of the truth hitting home. Being a victim is comfortable. Victims get to blame their parents for bad advice. Victims get to blame the economy. Victims get to blame the toxic culture. When you're a victim, you don't have to do anything. But if you admit you're not right enough, you have to take ownership. And ownership is a bitter pill to swallow. Look at the facts. Most people don't fail because they chose the wrong path. They fail because they walked that path with a buggy version of themselves. You enter a relationship with unhealed trauma and a need to control. When it ends, you say, "Love is a scam." No, love isn't a scam. Your version of love is. You start a business with a get-rich-quick mindset, but don't know how to read a balance sheet. When it fails, you say the market is saturated. No, the market isn't saturated. Your skills are just underdeveloped. Your current self might just be a beta version full of glitches. If you don't update your internal software, you could be standing on a path made of solid gold and you'd still find a way to screw it up. So, how do you know when to pivot and when to level up? Use this protocol. Do not quit your job or end your relationship until you complete these 4 steps. Step 1. The competence ceiling. List the 3 most critical skills for success on your current path. Are you an 8 out of 10 in all of them? If you're in sales but haven't read a book on psychology or practiced your pitch every single day, you haven't hit the ceiling. You're at the floor, and from the floor, every path looks like hell. Step 2. The pattern hunt. Look at your last 3 major failures. Is there a common denominator? Do you always leave when things get boring? Do you always clash with authority? If the pattern repeats, the path isn't the problem, your operating system is. Step 3. The 90-day sprint version 2.0. Make a deal with yourself. I will stay on this path for 90 more days, but not as the old me. I will show up as the highest possible version of myself. If it's work, work as if you own the company. If it's a relationship, love as if it's your last day on earth. If after 90 days of peak performance nothing changes, then you pivot, but you pivot as a winner who outgrew the path, not a loser who was kicked off it. Step 4. The price tag audit. Write down the price of your current path and the price of the dream path. Are you actually willing to pay the new price? Don't look at the trophy, look at the pain. If you want to be a freelancer for freedom, are you willing to pay with no health insurance, no 401k, and months of zero income? Once you audit yourself, you'll realize a shocking truth. The icons we idolize were actually wrong for a long time. Let's talk about Steve Jobs. In 1985, he was fired from Apple, the company he started. At that time, the world saw him as a massive failure. He was on the wrong path because he was too stubborn and difficult. What would you do? Collapse? Blame the board? Jobs called it awful-tasting medicine, but the patient needed it. He spent the next years starting Next and Pixar. He didn't change his path in technology, he updated his version of leadership. 12 years later, he returned to Apple as a wiser, deeper version of himself and created the iPhone. Or look at Abraham Lincoln. Failed in business, suffered a nervous breakdown, and lost 8 different elections. By any standard, he was on the wrong path for 30 years. But these men never saw it as wrong. They saw it as the cognitive accumulation phase. The difference between them and the average person? The average person sees a mistake and quits. The icon sees a mistake and repairs themselves to turn that mistake into fuel for a greater right. A lot of people ask me, why is self-improvement so exhausting? It's because we expect learning to feel like scrolling TikTok. Learning is mental labor, and labor is supposed to be tiring. If learning feels easy, you're just consuming entertainment. Many people quit the moment they feel mental strain and conclude, this isn't for me. No, it is for you, but you're not patient enough to push through the pain threshold. It's like the gym. If your muscles don't ache the next day, you were just there to take a selfie. There is a beautiful law of life. Once you truly know, you cannot go back to acting like you don't know. Knowledge is an update. Once you understand the why behind your failures, your old habits start to look so ridiculous that you can't stand them anymore. That is when you start becoming right for your path. Life never promised you an easy ride. It didn't give you a perfect map, but it gave every human being one fair power, the power to upgrade your own version. Stop wasting time agonizing over your wrong path. Remember, the rough roads and the wrong turns were the only things that taught you what pain feels like and why you need to change. Without them, you'd stay a beta version, naive and fragile. If you upgrade yourself deeply enough, a miracle happens. Many paths that used to look wrong suddenly become right. You find opportunity in the struggle and peace in the storm. Conversely, if you keep your old, defensive, and lazy version, you could be standing on a path paved with diamonds, and you'd still find a way to mess it up. So tonight, instead of staring at the ceiling and wishing you chose differently back then, ask yourself, what do I need to learn so that my current version is worthy of the path I want to walk? If this video hit a nerve, don't just watch it. Comment below one system glitch you've identified in yourself today. That is step 1 to fixing it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join us on this journey of constant upgrades. Build a better version of yourself. Everything else will follow. I'll see you in the next one.